Should pop up. Let's see. Loading. All right, you see that?
Yeah. Just by the
All
way,
right, so
so
what?
just let everybody appreciate what you're doing. He's working right now. He's in his clinic.
Yeah. This is
Lunch
my
break.
therapy, my physical therapy office. So gonna take the next hour with you guys to kind of brainstorm a few things, put out some ideas, just try to continue to grow the game as much that we can. And talking to Devin over the last few days, it's this is awesome. I think it's cool. I think it's great. It's spreading how much information and knowledge can be out there. And the possibilities are endless, and that's the cool thing about flag football. And just trying to be an advocate and an ambassador of the game. I want to do my part, and at the end of the day, if I can hang my hat on that, then I think we all can appreciate those things. Kind of a team effort, even though we're all on different teams at times. So growing the game is going to be huge. So this is me. Everyone will know me in the flag football world as Hollywood, but my legal name is Bryan, Bryan Garcia. I'm located here in the United States in the Dallas area and in Texas. So if you guys want to add me on Facebook, Instagram, I didn't put my email on there, but if you guys need that, feel free to reach out or with any questions or whatnot. So I've been, like Devin said, I've been with USA Football since 2018. Was actually elected as an official to go to Panama to the World Championships, which was just a stellar honor, and to be able to work with some of the guys from across the seas and just kind of learn their mechanics and their strategies and the way that they see things. It broadened my eyes to a lot of different things. And luckily enough, this year, just kind of out of the blue, didn't apply for it, didn't talk to anyone specifically about it. I was reached out by the USA staff. They lost their coach. He had left and started doing something with NFL flag, and they asked me to be the coach. So huge honor. Definitely gonna be up for the challenge and hope to help strengthen this, but also use the platform, no different than what we're doing now, to try to grow the game and to try to strengthen the possibility that we can push this into the Olympics and amongst the youth as everything else. So currently serving as the head coach, but also on the other side of that, I serve as the referee director for the Flag Football World Championship Tour, which you guys had the pleasure of speaking with Travis the other day, and he gave some information. Travis is actually one of the owners of this the tour. We actually host the world's largest tournament every January out in Florida, and the numbers are just growing ecstatically. Our biggest prize in terms of money and those types of things is changing every year, but from an elite level standpoint, even down to competitive and even to a recreational standpoint, I mean, there was almost like 700 some teams there at this tournament this year. Different formats, obviously, but 4-on-4 and 5-on-5 non-contact carries a huge load of that. I believe we in our just elite division alone, we had 35 elite level teams in Orlando for 5-on-5, which seems to be the glowing prize of late as everyone's trying to push it into the Olympics, and a lot more people in the States are starting to play it. So, I train officials, I evaluate, schedule. Comes back to the point of, why did I get into this? Is just trying to give back to the game that I loved and has taken care of me from a recreational standpoint over the last 2 years. So everything's been good with that. Travis and them treat me well. Get to travel the country, and even the globe a little bit on someone else's dime, and just to be around flag football, and that's it. So on top of that, I get to evaluate players and see where the talent is, and my head's always turning to where, for the future, especially for the USA side, is, where are we going to be able to pick our next team from or invite our next players from? and this gives me an opportunity to do those things. So now that we're in the driver's seat, we're going to talk about today and just things that I want to just cover. I know y'all have gone over so many different avenues, going back and reading through and listening through some of the stuff, but just trying to pick and choose with the limited time that we have, just to talk about a few things offensively and a few things defensively. So looking from the offensive side, what's the importance of first down and what it means, as well as looking at goal line positioning and plays, and then the ultimate battle between who's playing chess and who's playing checkers when it comes to the offensive side and the defensive side, right? And we'll talk a little bit more about what that means. And then from the defensive side, what are some of the key objectives at establishing a good defense? Is you got to have a leader, right? We all know that we have to have that force and leadership from a captain side. You guys were lucky enough to speak the other day to one of my members who's one of my defensive captains in Manny Sanavia. So he's a great guy, being able to listen to some of the feedback that he can give. He's pretty much the most decorated flag football player in America. And so that's awesome that you guys get to pick in his brain a little bit and ask questions and whatnot. And then we'll also look at some hidden sides of things. So me being an official as well as a player, what are some things that I'm trying to overcome some barriers, right? And I think you guys can pass a lot of this information, because sometimes, we see the game just from a clear standpoint. We never see it from like, man, that's smart. Like that's really cool to see it from that avenue. And it can bring out a lot in terms of your team strength and keep you in position to be efficient as well. So, all right. Any questions so far from anyone, Devin, or how does that typically work?
No, I'll just keep going. If they get some questions, I'll just try to, when you're kind of like segueing to something else, I'll just jump in and ask you a question. Okay.
All right. Sounds good. All right. So looking at what's the importance of first down, right? So we're obviously only having to obtain a portion of the yardage to get past midfield, but having effective first down plays sets the tone. It sets the tone for what your offense is going to be about within that series, potentially within the game. All right. I look at from a defensive standpoint, when you're facing the defense, they're going to probably show you within the first couple of plays, always on first down, you don't want to get beat over the top. But it's also where they're going to be the most aggressive too. So I kind of tabbed that on there, that likely on first down, defensives are going to jump things a little bit more. They're going to play a little bit more aggressive and tighter, as well as maybe having a free safety over the top to try to cover the roof there. So, creating opportunity on first down it's almost like you got to get yards. Here in the States, the way that we play tournament-wise comparative to international-wise is we only have 3 downs. So even the value at that point is bigger on obtaining what it means to gain a first down. So having the 4th down in international play is huge, right? And even for some of my guys and my team, it's like, man, it's kind of like a free play in a way. So, but setting the tone for your offense, not making mistakes, guys knowing what they're doing is huge. And that allows you to open up your playbook if we're successful on first down, right? We're setting up short down and distance to hopefully improve on trying to be able to take deeper shots at the end zone, staying short line, and knowing what that means. We'll come up here in just a little bit. But creating more of an avenue to be successful with your play calling is all set off on, are you gaining yards on first down? So it's such a value, all right? This guy right here in the picture, the way he's about to get hit right in the face, right? It's just you can't have drops. Those things are going to happen. If defense makes a great play, that's one thing, but execution is huge. So when we talk about creating more opportunity through your playbook, then now you have building blocks. So what you see or show on first down will lead to you being able to build off of that, whether you run a stop and go on the outside, does that set them up later for, a stop, go stop, to where now you can get deeper and closer towards midline on this side of the opportunity. So you're building your blocks to set teams up for later opportunities down the road. And then, statistic-wise, especially here on the state side, with having just the 3 downs, your higher rate of turnover on downs, not even crossing midfield when you don't have a successful, and when you talk about success, it doesn't take much to get there. You're looking from a stateside thing, we need 7-8 yards of play, right? From an international side, it's a lot less, but you have a higher risk of turning the ball over when you're unsuccessful on first down. You now give the defense an opportunity to change or create more schemes within their sets and make you more predictable at that point. So that's where the importance comes in. So just kind of exploring a little bit on that. That's the one thing that I want you guys to understand. And we'll go over a couple of first down plays here in a little bit of what we like to do, or more so, even my team that we play with locally, that we look to try to create. So, all right.
So, quick question.
Yeah.
It says, one from Michael, do you really play 5-on-5 on the same field dimensions in the States?
Yes.
3 downs?
Now, the only thing that's changed dimension-wise is the end zones. So the end zones here in the States are 7 yards depth,
7 yards,
okay, versus 10. And everything else is the same.
Still a little harder.
Yeah. Yeah. So definitely a lot harder with only having three to midline, 3 to score. So, and that means the pace is going to be faster. So the defense can be a lot more successful only having to stop you 3 downs, right? So from an international standpoint, it's huge having that 4th down. All right. So there's a term that people will say that, one person's playing chess while the other guys are playing checkers, right? Well, from an offensive side of standpoint, you can dumb it down a little bit, and it's okay to play checkers, all right? So when we talk about international rules-wise, right, the offense, and especially in any form of flag football, the offense has a clear advantage. The game is designed for you to be successful, especially in a non-contact game, right? Like the defense cannot touch you. You know where you're going. Your offense can have thousands of plays. So the game is set up from you, from even a penalty-wise standpoint, to keep the ball. And so it's okay to dumb it down sometimes and not have a high level of complexity, which will still make you effective. So that's where the next stage is I said simplicity is fine, all right? It's okay. What I see from an international standpoint is we see a lot more of a standardized kind of football look, a traditional spread. You get into Mexico and they're a lot more crafty, right? There you have multiple guys dropping back, creativity, and they're just trying to play towards their strengths at that point. But, what we see a lot from stateside, from tournament-wise, is the athleticism is so high and so evenly matched across the board sometimes that guys are trying to create all these avenues of creativity that we forget sometimes to be simple, and simple sometimes is effective. So the average, when we look at this per play that you need to be in order to score a touchdown, is about 6 yards per play, all right? And when you look at the structure of how your defense lines up a lot of the times, a lot of people line up at 7 yards. So they're kind of really giving you those small little windows there, all right? And that means they got to pull a flag at that point too. So breaking it back down to playing something as simple as checkers, where you only have the checkers move in so many just standard pieces. Think about, like, hey, in your head, in your internal clock as a quarterback, as a player, positive yards, hey, if I get 6+ every time, we're going to score every time, right? So that's where, teaching my quarterbacks and those types of things is, especially my guy, my gunslinger, he loves the long ball. We all love the highlight, for sure, no doubt. But creating simplicity down below and underneath sets that up later down the road as well. And I think that's going to be big to understand as a player, whether you're at any level. It's not about just chunks and chunks of yards. If you get that and it comes, great. But simplicity is great too. So The other important thing that I see a lot of common mistakes in is people don't short line the ball enough. All right. And what I mean by that is, let's just say first and second down in an international play, and you catch a pass, and guys will go, and I'm going to show a video of this here later from a defensive side. But offensively, strategy is to create more opportunity, more plays, right? If I catch a first down pass 2 or 3 yards short of the line, I don't want to cross the line at that point unless I'm going to score, in my opinion. So we tell my guys a lot, short line, short line, short line. Let's have 3 plays to get 2 or 3 yards. That opens up an opportunity to take a deeper shot towards the end zone, versus if I cross the midline at 1 yard, now I'm limited to 4 plays. So I've lost plays now. I've taken myself out of the ability to do that. So that's huge. And so many times as ball carriers, when we have the ball in our hands, the immediate thought is like, hey, I just got to score, I got to score, I got to score. And in reality, though, when you break the game down to a smarter way, let's try to make it more effective. Let's make my offense to have as much opportunity as we can to take advantage of those things. So, so that's setting up the short line. Is it's okay to stop. It's okay to go out of bounds. It's okay to take a knee at that point. All right. Short lining the ball is huge, and it opens up your ability to keep that playbook where you want it to be. The next tab it kind of comes back to what we mentioned earlier. Short and quick is effective, right? We mentioned that 7-yard gap, where a lot of teams are giving you that whenever they line up defensively. I see it all the time. And we'll show you here in a little bit on the video. You'll see my quarterback in the game against Israel. He makes a read to where it's like, hey, this is simple and easy. I'm just going to shovel the pass really quickly. And you put the ball in the hands of your playmakers for a reason. And like, again, it comes back to, if I can achieve that 6-yard marker, then I'm going to be successful as an offense already. And then, so coming into that, short and quick, you can also intertwine running the ball. All right. This is the one thing that I don't see teams do enough. Granted, I feel it shouldn't be done a lot, but it still should be a part of your playbook. It still should be a part to hold the defense true to what you're trying to establish. It's a part of the game, being able to run the football outside of the no-run zones. So whether it's in a throwback fashion, whether it's in a handoff position, and that's what you're doing, you're keeping the defense honest from an offensive side of the ball. And I think a lot of teams forget this. They just don't do it enough. One of the areas that I love to do it is being a yard or two right outside of the no-run zone when it's in your favor. The defense doesn't even realize that you're going to do it, and you just hit them with it, and you pretty much can get towards the goal line fairly easy. So, but you also got to be smart with it. You got to have to trust whoever you're handing the ball off to, and that comes with the type of personnel that you have. But this is the one thing that I see from an international standpoint is I don't see much of it. And I think, intertwining that into your playbook can be really effective at keeping the defense honest. It also sets up ball fakes and how you move the defense and being able to get a post-snap read as a quarterback. And that in itself is an extra second of time, whether it's slowing the defense, moving the defense into a different zone because they think that you're going to do that. So keep that in mind. And it's simple. It comes back to the point of what we say is playing checkers, right? Like the simplicity of just handing the ball off and letting a guy run for 6 to 8 yards comes back to the positive play average that you're trying to achieve. And then the last thing is this comes a lot more on, don't just let anyone call timeouts. Don't just let anyone, you always got to know where your clock management is, from your coaching staff to your quarterback to your defensive captain. One of the things that irks me the most is when the defense is not ready, for example. They're in position, but they're just like, oh, something's not right. Someone's not ready. Someone's putting on their belt. Someone's fixing their flags. And then they automatically just burn a timeout. It's like, man, those are so valuable, especially in what we see from an international standpoint with the clock stopping under 2 minutes. Man, you can drag that out for a longer duration of time, and having those in your back pocket means a lot. And so, I stress that to my team about, hey, there's really only two people allowed to call timeouts, unless it's just, something that we have to do. But I constantly have a clock, whether I'm on the field playing, the standard time frame of what takes a few minutes to go typically each drive. That, do we need to try to score quick on this drive? Do we need to just slow it down and let them only have so much time left on their drive coming out? Whatever it may be, that's where you're strategizing. And it's kind of a forgotten tale sometimes, to where, teams just want to score. But when you pace the game, especially if it's someone who's significantly better than you, you try to limit their possessions, right? Hey, take advantage of that 25-second clock. Take advantage of, walking the ball back to the official rather than handing it to them. There's different ways to navigate the game and make it in your favor at that point. So dumbing it down, making it simple is huge, all right? And then a lot of value, right? So you got to score points from an offensive side of things, right? We look at from an international standpoint, man, 10 yards is so wide. It's so long, especially when you're compared to playing on sevens. And in some tournaments, you get out here in the States, you don't really know if that's a true 7. It could be 5 yards. But 10 yards is a lot of room. And what I see a lot of people do is, especially around the goal line, is they're not utilizing every square inch of that. And so, targeting more depth in where your receivers are going, or even just having your receivers, if you have a receiver go back and around right, if they cut it off 2 or 3 yards short of the back line, man, they're giving the advantage to the defense at that point, because now he can play a little bit of a shallower area. But if they graze along that back line into there and are dragging along through there, it's going to open up more windows for the quarterback, especially when you're crossing and doing all these different things. So trying to utilize the full potential of what that 10 yards means. And a lot of people, I don't think that they understand is how wide that really is, because it's a lot of space, and it's hard for even an elite defender to cover that type of area when we look at adding more yardage into the end zone like that. From an offensive standpoint, we look at ways to create opportunity near the goal line. Okay. And so what I mean by the goal line, I pretty much say, 10 and in to me is more goal line. Definitely anything less than that for sure. But a lot of defenses are going to try to use, obviously the back line as a defender, right? You running out of space. So you'll see a lot of defenses go into, more of a 4-cross, kind of look. You can't play in that 2-2 zone, right? We don't need to say at that point. So to me, one of the most effective ways of getting in the end zone and getting your money's worth is playing in a tight formation. Okay, it's harder to navigate defensively, mixing and trying to fight through people, trying to see where people are crossing and going like that. So it's ways effectively to score, and also it can also be a negative though, right? When you're limiting yourself from a space standpoint, but that's where we talk about, hey, sometimes you do need to spread out wide. If you're further back away from the goal line, but you're still going to the goal line, then you may need to be in more of a spread position to create more windows of throwing lanes. But one of the things that we see is a lot of quarterbacks will make the mistake of, if they're in spread and their quarterback standing at, let's just say he's eight yards back and they're on the 5-yard line. Well, now he's making that a 13, 14-yard throw, potentially even more if he's throwing towards the back of the end zone, versus if he's tighter and under center, or even shorter in his shotgun stance, he can make these throws a lot quicker, a lot easier, versus a lot further. But there's times where he does need to do that. He does need to create more windows. He does need more time from the rush and those things. So where that's the versus is bunching tight versus spreading out wide. You see a lot of people be in a spread formation and they're on the 1 or 2 yard line. And it's like, man, those are tough. Those are real tough. You got to have a center that snaps the ball back that far. You have a quarterback that makes a longer throw. But in a way, you can create a lot more effectiveness from a tight bunch formation, just in my opinion. So, and part of that leads to the next tab there, is the idea of what people will say is a pick play, right? And this is where my officiating comes into play, is pick plays are actually legal as long as contact's not made. So I have the ability, or what we term is, in the officiating standpoint, is I have right of way to go run to a spot from an offensive standpoint, okay? Now, defense has what is called right of place. However, though, if I'm running my route and someone's coming underneath me and the defender is having to force its way around, yeah, it's a pick play, but I didn't make contact at that point. And a lot of people will leave it as an idea of like, oh, that's just bad football. That's dirty football. Oh, that's dirty if I'm going over there and I'm checking the guy and I'm banging him up. But this is a natural pick, okay? It's an effective play, especially around the goal line when teams are in this bunch type fashion, basically just rub to the outside of the shoulder and someone's coming underneath. Man, you're going to create daylight all day. And it's hard for the defenders to get through that, much more from an official standpoint, to see some of these things, all right? So that's the big thing when we look at being creative, from whether it be bunch or even spread fashion. It doesn't matter. Utilize that. It is a legal play as long as there's no noteworthy contact or contact is made. It is a legal play at that point. So also too, around the goal line, and we'll see Mexico here in a little bit on the thing, is creating time, and that's such a value for anyone when it comes to what they do. They just create so much time with handoffs and throwbacks, trying to pull defenders down and out of position, that you have to do that sometimes near the goal line to be successful. And a lot of the times is you're trying to be don't show your cards too quickly. So you want to make sure that you pick your spots on that, in terms of, handing the ball off, throwing it back, because you could potentially set yourself up for disaster at that point. The other thing is sometimes here in the States, you'll find some leagues where they mark the spot is where the flag is pulled as opposed to where the ball is, okay? That's one of the big things different that we see sometimes here in the States versus international play. But knowing that the ball is the spot, and if I have a guy who has a significantly long reach, sometimes just throwing simple passes around the goal line to know that they can reach that and extend that ball out, 2 yards short of the goal line, the defender is going to wait on the goal line a lot of the times for these receivers to come. So them catching it short of the goal line sometimes and extending is going to create a lot of opportunity to score touchdowns where it seems like you're going to be short, but in reality, the ball crossing the plane of goal is just easy. And I've started to open my guys up to that rather than running dart routes into the end zone at first. It's sometimes, hey, just go ahead and throw it short because we can get the ball extended across a lot easier at that point. So, and then the last phase is from a quarterback standpoint. There's certain people that know how to high point a ball receiver wise. And I think, from an athletic standpoint, what you see, Austria has some huge guys, Canada, the height effect it's not the fact that the receiver doesn't do a good job. It's sometimes I feel the ball is thrown too flat, right? So learning the art of, from a quarterback standpoint, is to basically give your offensive receiver the ability to do what a true jump ball is they need to high point it. If it's too flat, then you're just putting them at a disadvantage. And it's such an effective play when you see the mismatch or the height disadvantage and those types of things as well. So a lot of those things are around the goal line. They're going to score you more touchdowns than just kind of thinking outside of the box sometimes. Okay. So there's that, and I don't know if you had any questions, Devin, right now or whatnot. Let me get out so we can look at a couple of things offensively.
So far, we don't have
here.
Any questions.
Okay. Let's see as long as this pulls up. All right, so this is a play here with Mexico, right? So we talked about the goal line and the creativity that they just had a huge play right before this. I can't remember if this was first. I think this was actually second down and goal. And you're going to see that what the USA does here defensively is they clamp down and are trying to basically, it almost looks like they're trying to man up a little bit, okay, which is fine. A lot of the times, you'll see the USA guys do that because they simply feel that they can outmatch you athletically and beat you, foot for foot. So what Mexico does here is they've got a lot of goal line creativity by changing the ball, giving it to someone else, and creating time. It's so hard to guard. And Manny said that the other day. No one wants to guard for 6, 7, 8 seconds. We're primarily just saying, hey, let's get these guys to get the ball out of their hands quicker. But Mexico makes a really good adjustment here. And hopefully this plays. Let me see here if it will.
So if they play slow, I'll let you know if it's true.
Okay. All right. So we're going to go handoff, right? And look at that. The guy came from the left side of the field. The guy came from the left side of the field all the way across. And what ends up happening is it creates a natural pick there to where Manny couldn't get through the play there. Okay? Let's kind of watch it again. Sorry, guys. All right, so here we go again, right? And if you watch Manny, he comes down. The rusher's going to go, but Manny gets crossed up right here. Slows, doesn't shoot immediately, and that just creates enough time today. And it freezes the defense. So looking at ways of creating mobility, being under center, the quarterback can come out of the backfield at that point. And they did that on second down, which I liked, right? They were unpredictable at that point. A lot of teams at that stage will just kind of run a little standardized play, but they wanted to be short, quick, and effective, and they created a mismatch right there. So it's an excellent goal line play to see that right to there, okay? The next one is going to be, let me see, make sure here, this thing's in the way a little bit. Yeah. All right. So this is us this January against Israel, where they threw a lot of different avenues of things at us and kept us off guard defensively and those things like that. But from an offensive side, one of the key points that we mentioned was short and quick can be effective, right? And you'll see that the quarterback here, Eric, he loves to play out of a bunch formation, whether it's any part of the field. It's just a style. I think he's comfortable with it. But around the goal line, though, you'll see him make an adjustment here where it's kind of like how a guy in regular football will do this fake snap kind of deal, right? He's trying to get a pre-read of what the defense is going to do. Well, Eric is basically seeing, as he walks up to center, he sees the defense adjust, and then he whispers in the ear of a couple of the guys, and then we make the adjustment, and it's just a simple shovel pass and an easy yardage at that point, okay? So this is, I think, I want to say was first down. He could have done a little bit better job on time management because we don't really want to give the ball back at that point. And I think that's why you'll see the receiver was not trying to score, but it's still an effective play. So
Solomon, Bunting are out there as well.
So the defense is adjusting.
5 yards.
Eric whispers, and there it is. Just simple shoot.
They flip it in.
That's it. There's nothing crafty about it.
It seemed like Israel almost
It's
wanted
simple,
to let them score here with
it's quick,
left.
and it doesn't matter at any point when you do this.
Yeah, kind of just.
You're just letting your guys and your ball carrier be effective with the play. So that to me is huge when it comes to looking at avenues to create simple, basic yardage, right? And knowing that you only need those 6+ yards every 4 downs, right? Throughout the 4 downs is huge, man. And that's where I think the teams from an international standpoint, whether it be your league, whether it be at the highest level of world championships, whatever it is, can get more effective with those things, okay? So looking at that, that's kind of what I wanted to spread out to you guys offensively, is just understanding how to be a little bit more effective. Don't have to always think about, the complexity of certain plays. And we'll look at a couple of other plays here in just a minute. Let me see. I think I have it right here. See if it pulls up. Open. Should pull up. Maybe not. I don't know. Can you still hear me, Devin?
I can still hear you, yes.
Okay. Sorry, man. I don't know what happened there.
Take your time. Take your time, man.
Yeah. Trying to get this to open.
You just download it probably again.
Yeah. Dang it. Yeah, I don't know, man. Hold on. Let me see if I can go into.
Can you open at the bottom of your screen? I don't know.
Oh yeah, there it is. It just downloaded up. Let's see here. Well, maybe. It says it's there. Yeah, man, I don't know. Maybe my computer's just going slow. I think it's trying to open. Something's trying to. Yeah, here we go. All right, can you guys see that now?
Can you scroll up a little bit?
Yeah. Let me see. So, is that better? Can you see that?
That's perfect.
Yeah. Let me see. I don't know if there's a full view here, but all right. So basically, what we call this line play. All right, and we use this a lot on like first down. Okay, coming out. So this is ball coming out, first down, midline to gain, and what we're trying to create here is a short line opportunity. That's why we call it line play. We're trying to be what we will say is 5 or less yards down or less to midline. Okay, and if the initial purpose of the play isn't there, which is going to be this gold looking route here, and it looks crazy, right? We're like, we don't know what that is. So basically, this is a read route. All right, this is our, what we would say potentially maybe our best or elite receiver. This is his read at this point. Okay, and he can go either way depending on how the defense is playing him. But the drop back from the outside is to create or pull someone else down, or with the potential, if they don't kill immediately, then we're gonna have more time, right? But let's say they cover the main guy in terms of this. A lot of the times you'll see a guy run, a post corner, but he saws it off really short. Okay, so it comes really quick. You also have a route here from the center, as well as 5 to 8 yard out route on the right. So what we see a lot is them, if they kill this outside guy, it's going to pull the defense in and out of position now. Now we got what we want. Is someone's going to shoot here, someone's going to shoot there. Now we got basically this one-on-one matchup here to basically try to stay short line of midline to create us more opportunity now within what to set up. So it opens our playbook. We got now 3 downs to get 4 or 5 yards or less, and we're probably going to take a few shots at the end zone at that point, right? So real effective in terms of what your route runner has to do is just be elite when it comes to making a right read and your quarterback and them having the chemistry to do those things, right? So we'll go on to the next play here. So that's what we call as line play.
So
here's another play, and this.
So
Yeah, go
question
ahead.
for myself on this play. So can you scroll back to the play?
Yeah.
Okay. So on your reads, who are you looking? What is progression on this? It's who we're reading and what's your progression ish on it?
So you're reading. Most of the teams like this in this position, you're going to come like defensively, for example. When you got a guy spread out here, this guy's probably going to say, "Hey, this guy, you're on man lock, maybe, right?" Rushers coming down in through the gut, but these three guys are basically going to typically be triangled when it comes to defensive side of the ball, or even if they're in a 2-2. So the read here is for this receiver as he goes, whether he runs, a little corner post or whatever it may be. The quarterback's read is right. Then he's basically making the read at which this receiver is going to pick a side, okay, to come short line either there or into there. If it's the opposite way, and they cover it well and they stay too deep, right, and it's both the safeties don't come down, well, then you have the dart route or you have the underneath route here. If they stay in their traditional 2-2 and they don't keel, then your final option is to come out wide and get back to the star back at this point, or what we call as our throwback. So, and then at that point, you're just playing razzle and you're trying to be effective with getting and gain yards at that point. So that's kind of the simple progression, is just watching what the high safety or double safeties are doing in order to trying to make the read off that route from a quarterback standpoint. So a lot of the times you'll see teams don't want to get beat deep. They stay high. And these little dart route, just short right in here, you're going to get about 8 to 10 yards, and you're going to get positive chunks at that. One missed flag. If they miss it, we can short line again to the outside as well. So pretty good there.
I got a couple questions here. Sorry, before we continue.
Can you still hear me, Devin?
Can you hear me? I have a couple questions for you. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Bear with me 1 second. So the question is two-part question. First question. So Hollywood, thanks for the great presentation. As a head coach for US, will we start to see more short passing plays and run plays in the future for the Team USA? And the second part question, will you be going for 2-point conversion plays after a TD instead of 1 point from the 5-yard line now, or 2-point try from the 10-yard line? And do you define goal line plays from 10 yards? By the way, do you not need to answer right away? So
Yeah. No, I think what you'll see is a lot of. I mean, we're still going to take shots. I think what we possess from a USA standpoint is a lot more dynamic speed and acceleration, which the long ball is going to be there for sure. But
plays in part of the game plan, right?
Yes, it's part of the game plan. And so I think, and I know you guys heard from Jorge the other day. Jorge has been such great in terms of his career and what he's done for USA football. This year we've actually made a change, which Panama got to see a little bit of Eric there, but Eric's going to be the starting quarterback for USA. So he's younger. He's definitely got a really strong arm with the potential to throw a long way, but he's very crafty, and a lot of this stuff is, he's been my quarterback on my own personal teams is us deciphering and creating plays like this. So, Eric's pretty smart. Depending on the game, he's going to go for 2 when he feels he needs to. But there is a lot of opportunity to make teams chase you when it comes to going for 2. But it can be a big deal. So we'll see. I don't know. I mean, it's definitely something to watch out for from that standpoint. So, yeah. All right. So let me go down to the next play here. This is what we call bread and butter, and you can run this at any point. Okay, and you can get crafty from it when it comes to changing different routes and those things. And the idea is to basically create a flood effect in what we would hope that whether you're in 2-2, you know, a 3-1 or whatever, we're just trying to create levels with this play. Okay, so this is, we call it bread and butter. You just can always go to this and create so many different things from it. If you notice, the quarterback would do a lot of this under center, and basically the quarterback will basically roll in the direction a lot of the times wherever the flood is, and he can do a little bit more with it too. But the simplicity of this play is simple: is creating clear out with a hook in the center spot. You have a fade here from this guy next to the center. This guy's just going to run a corner. Now, let's just go for the example of short line effect. His corner route is going to be kind of targeting that 5-yard no run zone line short of the midline. This guy's going to fade out deep, and this guy's dart shooting there. A lot of the times what we see with this is it almost creates a little natural kick and toe, especially if this backside defender has to get all the way down. Or if this outside defender is going to stay and take the shoot, now he's in position to where this safety over here on this side has to choose. Do I take this guy? Eventually this backside guy here or even over here is wondering what the hell they're doing, and they don't know who to take. So it's a reaction play, and it's simple. But just looking again at chunks of yards and creating levels with this play. And so again, it's out of a tight formation where we see a lot of success. And I think a lot of the things that can go forward is trying to be creative and doing multiple options from this. Travis mentioned motion the other day, all of which are very successful. But you give the quarterback multiple layers of opportunity here to make his reads, okay? And, you know, depending on where you are in the state of the game, you know, this is, you know, in terms of progression-wise, you know, short line, going at the end zone, whatever it may be, that's what makes it really effective with this. So. And then the last one, okay, this is what we call, this is our personal team play. We call it most hated. So we call it MH special, and this is our goal line play. Okay, this is one of our goal line plays. Let me try to position it right. Okay, so let's use the gray line here as the goal line, right? Say we're 5 yards out. Doesn't matter. The idea is to, again, be in a tight bunch formation. Your wide receiver is going to be coming in motion here and is going to wheel and dart, not wheel wide, okay, towards front cone or back cone. He's cutting up and then going back to the back far cone, okay? Top right cone is where he's aiming at. And this guy is going to, Z route is going to dart towards the front left cone, and then he's back. So he's trying to sucker this guy in and then peel him back in, because what we're trying to do is backdoor him here, is having a back and around, okay? This guy's going to run a Jimmy route, or what we call as a China route. He's going to curl, jab, spring back. And again, this guy here running in motion is going to pull these defenders there to where potentially this jab here creates space back to the front and underneath to this standpoint. The target, though, is going to be this back and around most of the time. We're going to use the effectiveness of that 10-yard end zone and try to create there. So, again, layers and trying to hit every ounce of the end zone in what I mentioned earlier, and using all 10 yards of it, and just trying to pull the defenders out of place like this, okay? Naturally, too, creates a little bit of a disguise with natural rub routes and things like that, which makes it harder for the defenses to do. You can fake this handoff in terms of what you're doing motion-wise to stall the defense. You can get so much creation with this, and ultimately be really effective. So that's one of our favorite goal line plays. And it's very, very effective, high rate of success, and yeah, it's great. We love it. So,
is it what's the speed of the Y coming across? Full speed, or is it more RPO?
Full speed. Yeah.
Is it
full
RPO?
Speed. Like it can be. You can typically know. Like we just basically just bring them in motion, and you can fake a handoff, or you can just pull him in motion and he can just hit it going in from a receiver route. So, you know, the quarterback will make that decision based off, you know, the integrity of where the game is.
Is he in front of the QB or behind the QB?
He's going to go behind. So that kind of drew the wrong. But he's going to go behind. Yeah.
Okay.
Because the quarterback's going to be under center at this point.
Awesome. I like this play.
All right. All right, guys. I'm going to go back so I can finish this last part of the presentation here. Let me go back to the slides. Hopefully my computer will be quick. All right, so just going to touch on defense a little bit. I'm lucky enough to
if you need to shoot, you got to shoot. Let us know.
No. Yeah, no, we're good.
Okay.
So the symbols that you see is two of my guys from a defensive standpoint for Team USA. I've tabbed them both, my defensive captains. And unfortunately, with them canceling Denmark, we haven't been able to see them truly work together. But Frankie Solomon, who we call Cap, he's a huge Captain America fan. And then Manny Sanabia, like I said, he's the most decorated flag football player that we've seen here in the States. And so those two guys alone set a tone and have a specific style of leadership about them. It's going to be interesting to see how they can play together and help each other. Okay, that's what I look at it as. There's no competition anymore, but help each other. And here's the one thing that you see with these guys is as you pick your defensive captain, it sometimes doesn't have to be the most knowledgeable person. They need to be well respected, okay? And to where if they say something that your team or your teammates, whether it's your coaches or whatever, they see that as value. And so, and it never hurts, having multiple options. We talk about, if one guy goes down, somebody else needs to be able to step in and call the defense, right? And making quick adjustments on the fly, being quick and to react and not and make smart changes, okay? But on the backside of that, though, is from a defensive standpoint, you got to be able to make calls that are going to be able to take risks. And so the qualities that you inherit as your leader with that comes with that. They're going to communicate well. Obviously, that's a huge gold standard. They'll be the most outspoken person on the field. And that's where, from a field standpoint, they can't see everything, though, right? So your coach's value comes into play with being a second set of eyes away from the field, telling them things that they may have missed, telling them, hey, this happened when this went on. But they have to uphold that leadership role. And if you can get you one of those guys that you can craft into that and mold your defense around, then your defense is going to play better just instinctively. Being a student of the game is huge, man. These guys are the ones that are always scouting, watching. I know Manny said that the other day. He's always watching the next team play. What can I steal from them in order to make my team be more successful than whenever we play them? So there's that. What we mentioned earlier is the offensive side. It's simple, right? We can play chess. I mean, we can play checkers there. On the defensive side, we're limited, right? We don't have 1,000 different play calls. We don't have any of that. We have, a handful of setups that we can play defensively in coverage, and then we're just scrambling around at that point. So we have to play chess. We have to try to disguise and put ourselves in situations where we're not predictable. And part of that is showing, your setup at times and then giving them a different look, but still being in that same defense that you may be in. So the easiest thing from a quarterback standpoint is if you keep regurgitating the defense keeps doing the same thing and they're not willing to change, then, hey, man, you're just going to pick them apart at that point. So playing, with the limited playbook and trying to disguise yourself, you want to be able to be effective in so many ways. So you got to be creative. You have to maneuver in so many different parts, move people around. Maybe it's someone else who rushes differently, those types of things. In the red zone, you use the end zone as a defender, right? You know that the offense can't run out the back of the end zone and catch a pass. So you have to use that back line as a base of the defense. You want to force long downs, right? And what I mean by that is the opposite of what we said offensively is we want to create short downs. We want to stop short of that midline. And I'll show a video here in just a few of one of my guys basically creating a long down 1st and goal because just thinking and knowing from a smart standpoint, he forced the guy to cross midfield. He didn't pull his flag 2 or 3 yards short when he could have. He let the guy continue, and then he pulled it. So we'll see that here in just a few. And always the big question is, do you kill the throwback? Do you not kill the throwback? What are we doing? And I think early on in the game is you have to see what that throwback guy can do. Is he a runner and not a good thrower? Is he a thrower but he's really slow? You have to test him. So you do have to see what he's about. But you also can get a lot of that from your studying and your scouting and those types of things. So that can put you in a bind defensively if you play it wrong. But you have to scout that out or potentially set it up within the first few trials. Is, don't kill that person back there. Let him catch the ball. Let's see what he does. Can he make an accurate throw? Is he making good decisions? And then to me, a lot of people don't really value it, but I think your rusher is gold. I think your rusher, who is a person who can be effective not only from just speed, but height, playing with a purpose and those types of things is big. They miss a flag, there's another 2 or 3 seconds of time. They're the gold standard to me of what sets the tone defensively and creates long downs at times with coming up with big sacks. And so having an effective rusher is huge. And then the last thing is when we talk about the defensive side is overcoming barriers, right? And this is me coming back to kind of my officiating standpoint. So if I'm on defense, I need to know where are the officials, okay? How many are on the field as well, right? Most of these, tournaments we may play in or leagues and stuff, there's 2 officials on the field, right? We know we got to have 2. Let's just say that, for example. Well, I know there's going to be someone on the line of scrimmage. I know there's going to be someone deeper. But now let's talk about if we were in the goal line and I know that the back judge is going to be on the back line there. Well, and I'm gonna try to say, hey, if they're gonna run this way, opposite away from that person, the line judge eyes on the quarterback, I might be able to get away with something defensively. I might be able to hold on to that guy's hip a little bit longer, or give him a little bit more of a physical play at that point, or put my hands in a certain place to slow them down that the official can't see. So this is a way that you get creative of knowing who's on the field with you and where you can create a positive effect from you defensively. We know IFAF from a world standpoint is very, very strong with their illegal contact and the way that those things are. So a lot of the guys here, especially in the States, they have to adjust. And so avoiding, penalties is huge, right? We talk about, hey, you got to learn how to not play through someone and play to someone. In the States, I think they allow a lot more physicality than what we do from an international standpoint. So it's a huge adjustment for our guys. But still, avoiding costly penalties is, especially kind of on a world stage, you have 4 officials on there. They're looking at everything, right? They're going to see everything. So avoiding those costly penalties keeps you out of situations of being on the field longer. Creating penalties with a purpose, right? This is something that a lot of people don't understand is you can cheat the game a little bit when it comes to, Israel did this to us. We were short line at midfield and like second down, and they illegally rushed us. Well, my quarterback at the time, someone different, and he didn't understand that you got to take a shot at that point. Well, he took a sack, right? So we take the sack and we nullify the penalty, right? Then it's third down and we're basically playing a midfield, maybe 10, 12 yards. If we accept the penalty, which is what the defense wanted us to do, it now moves us up over past the midline, and now they're playing to their strength defensive. They're saying, hey, we're going to give you 4 downs to score versus giving you the 6 or 7 downs to score that you potentially looked at, right? So it's vice versa of what we looked at offensively. So it's smart. It's being smart defensively of like, hey, when can you make a simple penalty on that standpoint to put your defense in a better position? And then the last thing is rushing with a purpose. Is when you know defensively whatever set that you're in, your rushers they have to be effective when it comes to knowing that, hey, if you have man lock on one side and you're triangling on the other with the defense, well, you need to take away the lane as a rusher on the opposite side to help maybe the guy who's in man lock on that side. I know that's hard to tell right now because I can't draw that up. But when you rush with a purpose, when you push a quarterback one direction, when you know you need to slow down, it can be really, really effective to helping the defense grow. That was my last slide. I got one more thing just to show you. I wanted y'all to see, which was just a video of how my guy defensively allows the offensive guy to basically get past midfield. And if you watch his mechanics really, really well, he actually kind of forces the guy forward, but you would never catch this as an official that he's doing something potentially illegally by pushing the guy forward because the guy is thinking that he's running the whole time and potentially trying to score at this phase. So let's watch this here.
Center there. Good time. That's wrong.
Let's see. Can you see the video? I can't see it.
Push play.
Any video there?
No, we can't see it.
Devin?
I can't see it.
Yeah.
He's been spinning away.
Yeah, man. Dang it. Okay, let me see. It's loading now. I think my internet's just going slow. Okay, let me see if I can rewind this faster. All right, here's the replay. So watch the replay here.
I actually thought it was he was headed into the end zone, but actually.
So we have a missed flag, and then watch Frankie come up. He knows he's giving it, and now he pulls it. Okay, that's smart on the defensive side. That's something that you can teach these guys that a lot of teams may not even think about. All right, and that's huge at creating what would have been third down in maybe 3 yards. Versus now giving them 4 plays to score in a long, they got to go the whole 25, 24 yards essentially to get there. So that's big, man. Just finding ways to put yourself on a different playing field. And that's where, I tell people, from my standpoint of things, I'm going to find these little ins and outs of ways to try to be more effective and teach it and tell guys about it because I think it makes the game, more efficient on the defensive side of the ball. You guys, especially the defense, is already at a disadvantage, man. This is just such an offensive game. The penalties are huge defensively. It's automatic first down. I mean, it's just big. So
what kind of defense are you playing with Team USA normally?
I know Manny covered this a little bit the other day, but we're basically going to have 4 looks, okay? You're going to have a 3-1. You're going to have a 2-2. You're going to have a man lock across the board, right? And then what we call is our man zone, right? If we may man up to one person on the outside and say, hey, this triangle is going to basically play a 2-1 look with these guys, these other 3 guys on the field, right? With the potential that the one thing is I say time is a killer. And if you're allowing time to be created, you're just going to kill your defense, man. So I'm always an advocate of trying to limit the offense from a time perspective. So if they have multiple dropbacks, you have to kill them. Unless that person is just a bad thrower, isn't making good decisions, then you can play it a little bit differently. But the way I look at it is the quicker the ball's out of their hands, the defense has an internal clock at that point to know, hey, man, they typically have two seconds, and the quarterback's getting rid of the ball. The rusher's going to be there. So that internal clock allows you to read routes better, jump routes more, know that a person is stemming one way, that he may go back the other way, or he doesn't have time at that point. So,
as far as in defense, when you guys are playing against, say, bunch formations or closed formations, or are you normally playing a zone defense, or do you have like a pattern defense you guys set up in?
Yeah, I think it's what you have to do in a bunch formation is you have to play in a zone type of scheme. How you set your zone, to me, is what's going to be effective. If you have guys who play shallow routes better and you have them over the top, and they're going to get beat potentially, right?
Yeah.
So it's a quick read defensively, and that's where if you can find a weakness within that offense, you may be able to scavenger around and be like, hey, maybe we can man the center, or like, hey, this person takes only the center, everyone else is bracketing around and zone around it there. So my biggest thing is just not giving up huge plays, man, and it's okay to give up yardage underneath you. Let's force people into positions where they're not comfortable, and that's limiting time. So.
Yeah. I mean, let you go, man. I know you have to get back to work.
Yeah. I appreciate it, man. It was great. I'll go back and look at this and see if there's anything that I need to improve on. But anytime, man, you need anything, I'd love to be a big part of this. And
appreciate it. Any questions from anybody? No questions from anybody? My last question. Do you have checks on your defense? If when the ball comes out, do you have checks? Like if a motion comes in and you're
Yeah. And this is where a lot of the times, having someone like Manny or Frankie in charge of our defense is they're just so skilled with trying to be able to do that. It's a little bit harder whenever you get the USA guys together because we don't practice. We don't get to play together year round. Everyone has their own, level of team. So these guys get very limited exposure to being able to play together. But it just shows that it can be learned to how to work together in just a quick fashion, So, but yeah, you got to have checks. It's no different than just your regular contact football, man. If you're not making adjustments, then the offense is going to pick you up and pick you apart really quickly, especially when it's a good quarterback who knows what you're wanting to do. So,
100%. Well, Mr. Hollywood, appreciate it, man.
Appreciate it, man.
See you next time, man. Maybe in Texas.
Right, you guys take care.
Cheers, man. Stay safe and sane.
Absolutely. Yeah.